Guess who's back? Thanks, baby. Missed me while I was gone. 716, stand up. Mech on the beat. Let go. With them fly ass chicks who paint them pretty ass lips. With them trap boys out doubling up on bricks. For musicians like myself that was blessed with a gift to rap with a pack and see what it is. Swerving through traffic like I lost control of the whip. Heard the competition like I ran over these bricks. Double lines mean nothing when you're hugging the bridge. Red light, green light, headlight, beat bright. Superstar life make these lanes hate right. Fabulous flow make the girls say nice. So rock cups full to the party break light. The car keeps going to the cab in sight. On to the next like Jay said, right? Yeah, swag too slick, make a hater wanna bite. Not out of Zella boy, but you blinked in my life. So what I gotta prove? Living my Lawrence like boy, nothing to lose. And I'm humble on the mic, hit the beats be bruised. The cat look calm like I never made a move. Back on the beat, the hammer in his seat. These boys all brittle, tried up fracture. I never move triple cause I got 2 feet. Provided my own meals, boy, nobody fed me. The grind is impeccable, I've been chasing decimals. Now it's like me and the money is inseparable. You catch the message that I'm sending to you. Anything is possible if you put your mind. I've been through it, blood I've been spewed it. Now I feel like a champ, bitch, I'm undisputed. Thought I conquered the whole game, the hustle never been lame. Pretty soon you fucks don't remember my name.
Good evening, everybody. We are here live. Talk Your Ish Tuesday, best night of the week. We're missing our fearless leader, Dennis, the Ignorant Thinker Podcast Holmes, but we're going to be here and hold it down for him like we did at time last year when he couldn't be here with us. So I'm filling in a way, just trying to control things behind the scene for us. And I'm sitting here with some great fellas in the room with us today. Got the co-host, Ron Thomas. How you doing, Ron?
I'm good.
You ready? All right. We got Damon Hargrove, the sports guru. How you doing tonight?
I'm hanging in there.
That's good. That's good. We got DJ King Czar with us on the ones and twos. What's up?
Not the DJ. He's the DJ. I'm the rapper. We in here. Parents just don't understand. Girls ain't nothing but trouble.
All right, now let's list some more. And we got time with Sean. What's up, Sean? You with us? He here. He on mute. You know how Sean is. We call him in and out. And then we have Adam Aflake. You here too, Adam?
Hello, Miss Sharon. Yes, I'm here.
All right. Looking all spooky. Can't see your face.
I'm here.
What that's all about.
Sorry,
What's up,
sorry.
Sean always coming back. Yo, I'm here. Like, okay. All right. All right.
I'm just not in a place where I can show my face right now. That's all.
Is that what it is? Okay.
Yeah.
Go Green Bay in Dallas.
Oh, Lord, have mercy.
My bad.
Lord have mercy.
I was cheering couch team. That's all.
See, y'all starting too early. But anyway, so we got a good show planned. We just gonna move into these trash ass players and certified players. Let's start with the trash ass players. Ron Thomas, what you got?
I got Bruce Arians. You need to keep your hands to yourself. Bruce Arians. He hit one of his players and he got to pay a fine $50,000. Keep your hands to yourself, player.
All right. Is that the only trash ass player you got? You got a couple more?
I got Green Bay.
All right, tell us about it.
Everybody you can't get right. That's what we need to call him. Can't get right. You 0-4 against the 49ers in the playoffs. So instead of you tell Chicago you own them, the 49ers own you in the playoff, player. And you 1-5 in the NFC Championship game. That's not it. So
1-5, huh?
1-5.
I mean, is it me or did he look like he just gave up in the fourth quarter?
I think his mind was somewhere else. That's what I really think. Like he thinking about what he should go or should he stay and all that BS. Instead of handling business.
Got you. Not really focused. He wasn't fully focused, man. He just wasn't focused.
Right.
Mm-hmm. All right. Zara, what you got?
Man, we were just having this debate on Facebook. Well, first, we got to bring up the Bills defense. All I'm hearing now is about the overtime rule when it's been this way for forever. And a lot of teams have lost this way. Now all of a sudden it needs to be changed. How about having the number one defense make a stop? You're the number one defense. So the rule has been changed already. It used to be a field goal and you lose. At least now, if they make a field goal, you get a chance. So, you're giving up 42 and 13 seconds, you give up a field goal. I mean, they're just pathetic at the end. So, in my opinion, the overtime rule is never going to be perfect. I don't care how much what they do to it. It's going to always be questions, just like a lot of the rules. So make a stop. You're number one defense in the league. Make a stop. Simple as that. And I'm gonna leave it at that for now. I know some of y'all gonna get into some of these. Not that many games. I don't want to take them all, but that was my focal point.
Well, I'd like to say something about what Zar just said. I agree with you for the most part. And I do think that, most of these, fans, I don't know if they're just all Bills fans or just people who didn't want Kansas City to win. It seems like there's a lot of people out there that felt that way about it. But I don't have a problem leaving it the way it is. But if you wanted to make it just totally, I guess a little bit, if you wanted to tweak it another time, as Dar mentioned, they already tweaked it. It's not like the rule had always been this way. It had not, they did change it, and it couldn't have been more than 3 years ago. But my whole thing about that is that simply, why don't, if they change it, again, and say, for example, they allow both teams to score, then what happens after that? It's still going to be a problem because it still comes down to the person who wins the coin toss, who eventually, I believe it's like 9 out of the last 10 who won the coin toss won. So, luck is the residue of design, and there's really nothing you can do about that other than, like Zar said, is play better. So this, you're going to have people. First of all, if you look at Kansas City in the first place, they experienced the other hand of it against New England about 3 or 4 years ago when they lost. Game went to overtime, and Patriots got it and drove down, and that was that. So, you're never going to make everyone happy, but I do think that it's a lot, being said about nothing because there's never going to be any perfection. But I do I do feel that you could make it at least to the point where you get them in the game a little bit, letting both teams score and then go from there. I mean, I don't know if that's going to solve everything, but I guess that's the only thing you could actually do. But like I said, unless you make it the college rule, go back and forth, which they're not going to do because of injury. That's why they cut the quarter from 15 to 10. You're never going to please everybody, and ultimately there's going to be a winner and there's going to be a loser. And unfortunately, Bills Mafia, you were the losers.
Right. I agree 100%. We're going to come back to you for your trash ass players, Guru. I want to hit up Adam, Mr. Mysterious today.
Hey, Michelle. So really quick before I go, am I limited to just football or can I talk about another sport as well?
Any sport.
Okay, cool. All right. So first up, I got Ryan Tannehill. The reason why I got him as a trash ass player is because to me, he's on the same level as Jimmy G as far as being able to completely throw the game away. And guess what? He finally threw a game away. And it was one of the most crucial games for the Tennessee Titans because now they're on the couch. The second trash ass player I got is Steph Curry because as of right now, his shooting percentage is starting to look like tour dates, basically. Like he's out there just going on tour the way he's shooting right now. So those are pretty much my two trash ass players.
What you mean like tour dates? What you mean? Explain what you mean. I know what you're talking about because I saw the meme, but go ahead.
He's like shooting 2 for 10. Then the next night he's shooting 4 for 20, 7 for 30. It's not looking good.
Damn for 30. He needs to go that bad.
I'm lightweight over exaggerating with the last one. I mean, I love Steph, but he got to get it together, especially now that Clay's back.
You think he just chilling for a minute since Clay's back?
It could be, maybe trying to let Clay get in rhythm, something of that nature. Could be like that, but I don't know. Either way it goes, I know the Warriors are a legit team, but he as a leader definitely, and because of his shooting is so dependable for that team. He definitely got to get it together.
Yeah, I agree with you on that. I think he will. I don't doubt Steph Curry at all.
I don't
Tom
either.
Rashawn, you ready?
Yeah, I'm ready.
All right, trash ass player.
Tanny Tom. I wish Dennis was here so I can rub the Tanny Tom shit in his face. But Tanny Tom definitely is my trash ass player. Also, the Buffalo Bills fan. I'm not too mad at the Buffalo Bills as an organization or football team. I think they pretty much provided one of the greatest football games that we've all seen. But I would have to give it to the defensive coordinator. Like once you see that in the last 15 seconds, why would you play off of these speedy ass receivers, these people that catch the ball and are really dangerous in the YAC category? Why would you sag off and Andy has 3 timeouts and Greasy? So the defensive coordinator for the Buffalo Bills gets my favorite player. It's like I'm not giving Steph Curry like that because I like him too much. So I can't do it, but he is on a cusp of trash. Aaron Rodgers in the Green Bay Packers, trash. Bruce Arians, like Ryan said, I'm going to follow up on that because that was funny to me. Keep your hands to yourself, player. That's pretty funny to me. But Bruce Arians has always had this problem.
Is that all? Okay. All right, it's on you. Sports. Well,
Yeah,
hold on, Ryan. Hold on, Guru. Ryan, what's up?
I got one more. I got Eli Apple.
Eli Apple?
Eli Apple.
Oh, okay. Good. Yeah, go ahead.
The reason why I got him, he taking shots at the two teams gave him an opportunity to still be in the NFL. Now everybody knows you play with the Giants, then you went to New Orleans, now you went Cincinnati Bengals. But player, you don't want to mess up your money if Cincinnati Bengals cut you. So you need to keep your mouth closed. That's all I got.
I agree. All right, sports guru, let's have the list.
I don't know about a list, but the first person, a lot of these guys just came on here today. Sean Payton, for one. This guy basically has New Orleans, the Saints, $71 million over the salary cap, but yet now he all of a sudden doesn't want to coach anymore. He wants to step down to do TV, or if he has this in his mind to do coach some other team, which I think, probably is in the back of his mind, although I can't prove that until he actually signs a contract. And obviously, since he has 3 years left on his contract, they're going to have to give up compensation wherever he goes, because I know the Giants would be very interested in him. So he's number one, because I think he's just he gave that guy Payton, like $1 billion. The salary cap is all screwed up, and now all of a sudden you want to go somewhere else. I mean, I think he's been overrated anyway. I don't know if he's been there about 14 or so years, and he's got one championship. It's just like Drew Brees, very overrated. Just like what's his name? For Green Bay, another guy. Everybody crowning him, saying he's the greatest quarterback ever to live, and man, he just spit the bit again. As Ron Thomas said, 1-5 in the championship game, and just I don't know if I'm not gonna say he quit on the team, but what I will say is that when you have his politics, it's hard to lead men. I know sports sometimes tries to take that out of it, but when you're so vocal about some of the issues that he's vocal about, and which a lot of people are totally opposed to, Aaron Rodgers is not a leader of men. And I think that's what happens when you, like with Tom Brady, and I'm not a big Tom Brady lover, but bottom line is you see how he came back and his team came back and almost, stole that game, with very limited resources. So give them a lot of credit for what they did, a lot of credit. But my number one, trash ass player, I think that's what we call this, is the Baseball Association Writers of America. Years ago, Big Papi was on that list of doing steroids. And everyone was talking about this, until they were blue in the face. What was going to happen? And, I love Barry Bonds. I'm not afraid to say it. He was the greatest baseball player I've ever seen. He may have been the greatest baseball player ever, period.
Come on, Guru, speak on it. On it.
And the bottom line is to jerk this man. I know there's some racism involved with it, but Roger Clemens is not black, and neither is Mark McGwire. But Schilling is not because of steroids, though.
But it's still.
They don't like him because I guess he's his character, because they have this clause that says that your character has to be, who the hell, if that's the case, take Babe Ruth out of there, take Ty Cobb out of there, take all of those players out of there, then come talk to me. Your sacrilegious, players, your baseball mythology people. Okay.
Rafael Palmeiro.
Yeah, I mean, it's just amazing how this is going on with these writers. And it bothers me so much. And I think Big Papi's always been a phony. I'm not making fun of the fact that what happened to him. I don't wish harm on anybody, but allegedly he was doing something. Let's just leave it at that. He was doing something he wasn't supposed to be doing. But, hopefully, I think he has made a full recovery. I'm all for people, getting second chances or whatever. But the bottom line is, this is the worst thing that I could ever see happening. And it's a shame because it just shows you our society is just full of shit, be honest with you. You can't let fans vote because they bias. You can't let players vote because they won't even, you could be the best player in the league and they won't vote for you. And you can't let writers vote. So who the hell can you let vote? There's really nobody you can let vote. It's like ridiculous. But this was just crazy. What the baseball writers did, and I'm not gonna feel sorry for Barry Bonds, but it just reeks of hypocrisy. That's all I can say. So they're the trash ass player, and they're number one ahead of everybody.
Good list. That's a good list. I hadn't thought about that, but you're right. When I saw the announcement that Big Papi made it in, I was kind of stunned, but I didn't really have time to focus on it before the show. So that's good commentary, and that's a good point, Guru.
Yeah,
Is it
I
my
agree
turn?
too. That's crazy.
Is it my turn? I think it's my turn on the trash ass players, y'all. All right, I'm gonna try to make it quick, even though I do have a list. All righty. So somebody said Tannehill. I just want to give some context. He went 15 of 24 for 220 yards, a touchdown, but he broke the rule. He broke the Talk Your Is Tuesday rule. He threw how many interceptions, y'all?
3.
3. And when you throw 3 interceptions, you on the trash ass player list, regardless. Yep. All right, so that's one. Golden State versus Houston. So it's funny how somebody brought up Czar brought up Steph Curry, wasn't it Czar? Yeah.
No,
Adam, that's right. Brought up Steph Curry because they're on my list. The whole team is on my list because they played Houston Rockets, who is one of the worst teams in the NBA right now. And they barely beat them. In fact, Steph Curry had to hit the buzzer beater for them to win.
First one ever.
First one ever. But my thing is, y'all barely beat Houston. Y'all are supposed to be slated to go to the finals. Why are you struggling to beat Houston? I got to look at that further, but they shot 77% at the line. They had 19 turnovers. Houston got 29 points off of those 19 turnovers. What's that about? They got beat in the paint, 54 points versus 46 points in the paint. At one time, Houston led by as much as 15. And this is without Clay. I mean, they didn't have Clay, but, well, they didn't have Clay, Draymond, and Iggy. But come on, y'all. This is Houston. Y'all not supposed to play this bad, so they need to get it together. I'm not sure what's going on there. Everybody mentioned Green Bay and AR-12, as people like to call Aaron Rodgers. But how you get beat by a team led by a quarterback with a 57.1 QBR, and then he also fumbled. Aaron Rodgers is not known to be fumbling, but you in the biggest game of almost your life, and you're going to fumble the ball, and you want people to think you're better than Brady? That's his whole problem. He's an emotional man that wants to be given the keys to the NFL city because, like Tom Brady, and he will never be considered better than Brady. I don't care what he does at this point. It's over with. It's a wrap. So, yeah, he's on my list. The 49ers offense, yeah, y'all won the game. Shout out to Jay Will. I know that's your team, and they're my second favorite. But no touchdowns? Nope. I mean, y'all got an offense? I mean, I don't understand.
Game in a row, Jared.
Yeah, so defense and special teams win all the games for y'all? What's going on? Y'all need to figure that out. Because, see, you got this far, but you're hoping to win a 6th Super Bowl and be tied with the great Pittsburgh Steelers and the New England Patriots. You're not going to do that if your offense can't score some touchdowns. So y'all need to get that together. That's trash to me. I'm sorry. Tom Brady had no touchdowns until the 3rd quarter. That's very unusual. So I'm moving on to him on my list. And that was a 1-yard run by Fournette. All he had to do was give him the ball, and Fournette ran. So he didn't have anything to do with that. Why do I point that out? Is because everybody's going to say, if they had won that game, they're going to say Tom won again. Well, Tom didn't win on that play. He ain't win. When they lose, it should be on Tom too, not just when they win. He woke up in the 4th quarter, but like the Steelers showed 3 times this season, you can't play badly 3 quarters and then expect to always win in the 4th quarter. I mean, that's my team, the Steelers, but at least 3 times this year, they played like garbage through 2 or 3 quarters and then thought they were going to bring it home in the 4th, and no, they got their feelings hurt. Well, it's a whole lot of upset Buck fans right now because they did the same thing. But they failed Tom. The Rams.
Shout out to Buck Flair.
Yeah, shout out. The Rams beat them in almost every category except one, and that was turnovers. That's the only category that the Rams did not beat them in. They beat them in total yardage, 428 to 359, pass yards, 355 to 308, rush yards, 73 to 51, first downs, 24 to 20, time of possession even. They and then the turnovers, they were just 4 to 2. Don't matter because the score said that the Rams won. So, last I checked, it's been a minute since neither Aaron Rodgers and Tom Brady wasn't in the playoffs anymore, not in the championship game. So it was a great weekend for me because the teams won that I wanted to win and that I, predicted to win and wanted to win, except for Tampa Bay. I wanted the Rams to win, but I predicted that Tampa Bay would win. But I don't even care about the pick'em. I just didn't want to see Tom Brady's face, so I'm good. So we're going to move on unless anybody else has any more trash-ass players. I got some trash-ass players in the comments. Zara, you want to read? I'll tell you what, we'll get to the comments in just a minute, but the comments are on fire. Ryan, what you got for certified players?
I got the 49ers. What they did to Aaron Rodgers and the Green Bay Packers, they're hard to do. And you beat them at home.
The defense, you mean?
The defense, they're hard to do.
And special teams.
And special teams, they're very hard to do. Not too many teams to do that. So they're my certified player.
Oh, sorry, I thought you were.
No more, that's it.
Yeah. And the Cincinnati Bengals. Y'all did y'all thing.
They thing.
Now, where are these people that said Julio was going to do this and do that, and Tennessee going to run all over Cincinnati Bengals?
Okay.
Blaze.
Okay.
I give Blaze a shout out. The Heat team came in there, hit Tennessee in the mouth, stopped Derrick Henry.
Kept walking.
So,
kept it moving.
kept it moving. They're going to the next round.
That's right. Anybody else?
I can go get mine real quick. So I'm gonna give a shout out. I've been calling them out. In this position is not, obviously it's an important position, but they don't get the credit, and that's the Evan McPherson, the rookie kicker for the Bengals, who's had a phenomenal season. And obviously I called that game winner this past Sunday, but both postseason games he's made 4 field goals in each game, including the game winner, this past Sunday. But a rookie like this dude, man, it's his first year. We'll see, how his career goes. I don't want to compare him to Tucker yet or nothing like that, prematurely. But, this dude is as sure as you can get, for making a field goal, when needed. And, this is playoff time. This team ain't been in the playoffs. This team ain't had a lot of success. And this dude came in and is making a big difference. And also, Zach Taylor, who a lot of people had on the hot seat, and I called him Coach of the Year about when there was about 3 weeks left in the season when we did our top 5, and most of y'all didn't have him even in the top 5. I had him as my Coach of the Year, and I still stand by that, and I do think he will win that award. So shout out to him. And switch it up and go to basketball. I want to shout out the Phoenix Suns, who's won 7 in a row. Clearly the best team in the NBA. Now got a 3.5-4 game lead on the Warriors, who you guys just talked about, and Chris Paul. And I know that's not a guy you like, Sharon, but he's another player. It's bad luck. They're talking like he should be MVP. He's not going to win MVP. He's not. He's just not going to win it. He's the best floor general in the game. Like Barkley said, he's the best leader in the NBA. He's not going to win MVP, but I'm still giving him a shout out. He went to that team and they may win the championship this year. They fell just short last year, but I got to give a shout out to the Suns of 37-9, 7 in a row. And they're playing, and CP3 is a big difference there. And That's my CP.
All right. Let's go with Guru.
Well, I'm gonna say this: Chris Paul was in the league about almost as long as I worked for the railroad, and he never even got to the finals, to the Western Conference Finals. So best leader in the league. No, well, he's had a very good 2 years.
Who do you think is the best leader in the league?
I don't know, but it ain't Chris Paul.
Okay.
I mean,
but there's someone better,
I mean, there's a lot of leaders better than him because, like I said, his career. If you dissect his career, he just has not been a good leader most of the time.
You don't think he's the best? Okay, what about this? Is he the best floor general?
I'd have to think about it in terms of somebody who likes to pass first, because the one thing he does do, he blends passing and scoring almost as good as Isaiah. I'll give him credit on that. But as far as if you look at his career his career, and we go back, for the most part, his career has been, dismal as far as leadership. He's never led anything. This is the only team that he's ever led. I mean, for the most part, most people have said he was a malcontent for his whole career up until last year. And I think part of the reason was he had that young team, which he finally found kids, or not kids, because they're in their 20s or whatever, so they just call them kids. But to me, I guess I almost look at them as kids. But a younger group that would listen to him, and that he was allowed to lead, because all those other teams that he was actually the leader of, they never led. They were pathetic. They were pathetic in the playoffs. They were pathetic as far as him is concerned. I mean, his whole track record was trash. I don't know why Miss Sharon hates him so much. I know she's not a big, and hate's a strong word. I don't want to put words in her mouth, but I know historically she has not been a big fan of his, and I'm not sure why that is. And I'm not hating on him, because I don't have a feeling about him one way or another. He seems to be a good father. I don't see him getting in trouble, so I judge people by that. Is he a good representation for African American men? I think so. I even saw when he had that horse contest, the way he was kind of hard on his son, and I was always hard on my daughter. So I understand that kind of tough love, and sometimes kids don't understand that until they get much older, and then they can appreciate that. But let me move on. I do think that I got to give a lot of credit to Mahomes, because they had this Josh, Allen, being a lot of, I heard, the what's his name, the guy for ESPN saying that that he was going to be Josh Allen if he won, and he was going to overtake Mahomes as the best quarterback. Well, my thing is, how can he do that? And he had never even been to a Super Bowl and had never won a Super Bowl. If he had beat Mahomes, he still did not get the brass ring. He still could lose in the championship game. He could still lose in the Super Bowl. So how are you going to anoint this guy better than Mahomes? Mahomes has done it, 3 years in a row? I mean, come on. I mean, like, does any precedent stand for anything? So you just automatically pass somebody because people say you pass them when you haven't achieved anything? You got to win, man. You got to win. And then you have people saying, oh, he won even though he lost. Oh, no, that's not how it works.
No.
That's not how it works. I'm sorry.
No moral victories. Win.
No, especially when it comes to pro sports. If you want to do that, trophy, participation trophy that they give out to the kids in the suburbs for the most part, right. When their parents started that crap, well, that's fine. Because I know when I was playing, we only the winners got the trophy. And I was proud to be. I remember one time the guy took the trophy away from me. He hated me so much that he took the trophy away from me and one of my friends. And so one of my friends got 2 trophies, and I made sure he got it. I didn't even care about the trophy. It was just winning that counted for me. So I looked at him in his face, and I called him a bleepy the bleep bleep bleep. And I'll do it again. And 30 years old, I'll call him again, because that's what I thought he was, because he was cheating for I'm trying to think who it was. I forgot, for Gregory and them, and may rest their soul. A lot of those guys have passed away. But hey, we kicked your ass, even though you're in heaven right now, Greg. We kicked your ass. But that being said, and also I want to give credit to San Francisco, man, because I wasn't really I thought I couldn't believe that they won that game, man, and the way they won it was so just kind of like odd, man. You know, they got off to a rough start, and you know, you think Aaron Rodgers would come out there and just ball out, and then the defense, you know, and what's his name, the head coach, he just had what's his name's number, and I mean, it was just amazing how they won that game. And yeah, you're right, the offense is, you know, but somebody said something about, I think it was Adam said about Tannehill being Jimmy. No, wait a minute, hold up. Jimmy G been to a Super Bowl. I don't think Tannehill will ever be to the Super Bowl. That was his best chance, and you know, he proved that he's not capable of leading a team. I mean, he just basically exploded. I mean, I didn't even think that Henry was really that bad for a guy who hadn't played in damn near 2 months. I mean, how much was y'all relying on him? And his head coach, once again, with that stupid going for it on fourth down, that actually cost them the ball game. That came back to bite them right in the fanny, and that cost them the ball game. So this you know, sabermetrics or whatever they want to call it, guys better start learning that there's no shortcuts in coaching. You got to coach the entire game. You don't get to coach 3/4 of the game or half the game. Coach the entire game, man. And that's when you'll be a champion. But these guys keep trying to take this shortcuts. Let me go. No, there's no shortcuts, man. There's no shortcuts. That's mine.
I agree. Yep. All right. Adam, what you got? Are you there, Adam?
Yeah, I'm here. Sorry about that. All right. So
All right.
first up, I got the 49ers defense and special team. They completely showed out. A lot of people thought that, you know, cold weather might be a factor, including our fabulous quarterback who said, and I quote, "Bring this game to Green Bay, it might be different." Well, apparently it was the same result. Anyway, but yeah, shout out to the defense and the special teams. Then I got Jamar Chase of the Cincinnati Bengals and Joe Burrow of the Cincinnati Bengals. That young duo right there, man. They're doing something fabulous. They're taking Cincinnati places that I didn't even see. I actually was like majority of people who thought Cincinnati was just going to be a bottom of a barrel team, but they're definitely shining. And then for NBA, I got Jimmy Butler, even though he's made out of paper skin and glass bones. When he be out there on the court, he leaves it all out on the court. And his game on Sunday against the Lakers, that triple-double that he got definitely propelled them to the win. So that's why I got him as a certified player. And then last but not least is a rookie by the name of Scotty Barnes of the Toronto Raptors. That young kid has been phenomenal. I got him, honestly, as my rookie of the year. And yeah, that's my certified players.
Mobley got that locked.
I mean, why you got him above all the other rookies? I mean, what's so spectacular about him?
Scotty Barnes has been very consistent. He's been averaging about like 19 points, 20 points per game as a rookie until COVID. Like, obviously, you know, these NBA players got to battle COVID and everything like that. But if COVID doesn't get in the way, he consistently averages about that per game because of his rhythm. And then on top of that, he also averages about 6 rebounds a game and about 5 assists just as a rookie. This is just as a rookie, consistently. On the Toronto Raptors, where you got Fred VanVleet, Pascal Siakam, and then you get to develop that young kid with those two veterans who have championship experience. I mean, come on. That's why I got him. Don't get me wrong. Mobley's great, but he's getting all that attention because Cleveland only got him and Darius Garland right now.
And Cleveland is like number 4 in the East, a team that's supposed to be at the bottom.
True.
Right. Yep. 4 in the East. All right. Time with Sean. Ready for your trash ass player. I'm sorry, you're certified player. Right. You're certified.
I'm gonna give it. I have to give it to every single football player that played in that Kansas City and Bills playoff game. That was a game. That was a hell of a football game. Definitely Patrick Mahomes. for not giving up. 13 seconds left. A lot of people, you know, they look at the game like, you know what I mean?
It's
And then go
over.
out there and he go out there and heave their best shot, you know, and somebody will go up and grab it and get a touchdown, and they're, you know, just amazing. Anyway, enough about Aaron Rodgers. I'm done. Patrick Mahomes is definitely my certified. Josh Allen is another certified player because I don't feel like Josh Allen is the reason why the Bills lost. He did everything he was supposed to do, especially in the last 2 minutes of that game where he come and score on not one, but 2 plus drives in the last 2 minutes. That's crazy. That's crazy. So yeah, definitely that playoff game. I really don't have. Oh, Matt Stafford. I gotta give it up to Matt Stafford, man. Beating Brady in clutch time, throwing that thing up the Cooper Cup right in the middle to get that field goal. After all that shit that I done talked about the Rams. Oh yeah, they certified, baby. They fucking certified. Matt Stafford is the shit right now. I hope that he goes all the way. Them and Cincinnati. And like I've been saying, and I'm gonna keep saying it, and I'm gonna keep saying it, and I'm gonna keep getting on your nerves with it. Joe Burrow's better than Josh Allen. Joe Burrow is definitely one of my certified players of not just this week, of all year. Oh my God. Joe Burrow has been lighting people up all year, letting y'all know he's not playing, and now he's in the AFC Championship, and I hope he takes Cincinnati to the damn Super Bowl so they can end that run. I am all in on Cincinnati, so yes, they're my certified.
They're not going to beat the Chiefs, but I'm with you, though.
All right. That's a good take. That's a good list. All right, y'all ready? Because I'm ready. But we're supposed to be talking about certified players, so I want to keep this positive. But I am gonna answer the question about why I hate Chris Paul so much. But I'm gonna do that after I give my certified players. But anyway, I too have the Bengals rookie Evan McPherson for the field goal, and of course I have Burrow and Chase on there. But shout out to the whole team because they seem poised under pressure. They bend, but they don't seem to break. They seem to be, they have great synergy, and they're all that one band, one sign, one sound mindset. They really are, trending in the right direction. So I'm going to give a shout out to the Bengals. Now, I want to say something about the Bengals. All the people who rooted against the Bengals or said the Bengals couldn't win, I'm calling y'all certified players. You know why? Because the Bengals have a history of being inept. They do. That's just a fact. It's been years since they had won a playoff game. So for people to expect them to lose, there was nothing wrong with that. And I'm seeing all up and down my timeline, people who picked the other teams that they won against. People are just like getting on their case. Like I told you, you should have known. Well, no, the Bengals have had some great teams in the past and still couldn't win. So to expect there was nothing wrong with that. But what we've got to acknowledge, those of us who originally did not believe in the Bengals, is what we have to acknowledge is that about midway through the season, the Bengals started making everybody a believer. And that's the truth. For me, it's the first time they played the Ravens. After that game, that's what changed my mind about the Bengals. So I know there's a person that's in the comments that's been after me all weekend, ever since Sunday, to acknowledge that I said that the Bengals were garbage and were not going to win the AFC North. I acknowledge that, acknowledging it on the show. Because like I said back then, the Bengals are going to bingle. But since that week 4, 5, 6, somewhere in there, they changed my mind. They made me a believer. And that's why I did pick them to beat the Texans. I beat them to win that game, and the Raiders. Was it the Texans, the Titans? I I always get them confused. I picked the Bengals to beat the Raiders and the Titans. So I picked right because they're a better team. So I just want to get that out of the way. Somebody already talked about the 49ers special teams. They were on fire. They played a great game. But I also want to mention Matt Stafford. This is a guy that's been known to turn over the ball in those clutch moments. those moments when he's expected to step up and lead. This dude led his Rams to beat Tom Brady, who many consider the GOAT, except me, to go 28 of 38 for 366 yards and 2 touchdowns and no interceptions. So he could not have played a better game. And it was not expected because people were expecting that interception. He proved everybody wrong. So shout out to Matt. But here's a name that I don't think anybody's really mentioned. I am most proud of OBJ. If this ain't a vindication, I don't know what else is. This is the biggest story of the weekend of the playoffs for me, because of how he was vilified and made to be the problem in Cleveland, how him and his dad was bashed for his dad's video and all that. And I thought that was awful. People were saying that he was washed up and he couldn't play anymore because he was playing with a quarterback that's not any good. But nobody would say that. Everybody wanted to put the benefit of the doubt on Baker when it was actually OBJ that deserved that benefit of the doubt that I said all along. And so when he went to the Rams, I was rooting for him. I was glad he got away from the Browns. He got away. He has proven it was not OBJ. That whole problem in Cleveland was Baker Mayfield, like I said from the beginning. So I also want to mention, I'm also going to mention something that's going to make King Czar happy, get a little applause from him maybe. But on that Rams team, there was one man who intercepted Tom Brady. And that's a former Penn State free safety, Nick Scott. People didn't even know what his name was, but he stepped up and intercepted that ball. So if I was the coach, I would be in there like Coach Boone from Remember the Titans, game ball, Nick Scott. That's what I would do because he would get the game ball for me. So game that's my top 5 play.
Shepherd.
No. That's right.
No, Rev.
It was Rev.
Wasn't he originally on?
No, Willie Bass. It was Willie Bass.
Oh yeah, that's right. It was Willie
Bass. Game ball, Willie Bass. That's what he said. But yeah,
watch that movie again.
Wasn't he originally on special teams that went to defense?
I think so. What in that right, Czar?
Well, he's a backup, so he plays. He's a defensive back, but he wasn't a starter from the jump.
Right.
So a lot of those guys, he probably still plays special teams. I mean, you'd be shocked at some of the corner DBs that start are safeties and they still play special teams. So yeah, I'm pretty sure he does both.
Yeah. Well, shout out to him. Hey, game ball. That's all I'm gonna say. But just to mention this, let me just clarify this Chris Paul thing. I followed Chris Paul when he was back at Wake Forest. Chris Paul has never been a great leader. Sorry, y'all. No, he's not. And the reason why he's never been a great leader is because he's a dirty player. He's an awful teammate, and he's very self-centered. That's why. Those 3 reasons. You can look up his career. You can Google it. I'm not going to take a whole lot more time in it because I want to move on with the show. But those are the 3 reasons I don't like him at all. Now, is he a good point guard? Great point guard, but I'm one who can separate the person from the game. He's a great point guard. Would I want him in my team? Only in the regular season. Would not want him on my team in the playoffs. There's several players you can say that about, but that's my position on Chris
Phoenix
Paul.
won't say that.
Well, that's fine, but that's Phoenix. And my whole opinion of Phoenix, y'all don't even want to know about that. So I'm not even going to talk about that right now. But I do not like him. I do not like him. He is very selfish, and he's got a nasty disposition about him. His friends are his friends, and that's great. But if you're not his friend, he don't bit more give a care about you. He really doesn't. And I still am trying to figure out how he ever was the president of the Players Union. I just couldn't believe when I found that out. But anyway, he was. So it is what it is. Mm-hmm.
You know what I think, honestly speaking? I think the league may have stopped something that had been better for him to prosper. If he was able to play with a player like Kobe Bryant, his attitude, his whole outlook. I really think he could have changed. Because I know that side of Chris Paul, and I don't like it either. But he is a damn good basketball player. But I feel like playing with Kobe Bryant would have made him a way better, just all around.
Actually, I disagree. Let me tell you why. No, let me tell you why. For one reason, he cannot stand to be overshadowed by anyone. And he could not have handled it. It would not have allowed him to be, he would not have allowed himself to be great because he would be too busy worried about how much more shine Kobe got than him. He would be keeping track who did what and who got praise for it. That would be his focus. It wouldn't be winning or anything else. That's his focus. And the reason why I feel this way is by his whole career, he has demonstrated this to me. I didn't make this feeling up. I didn't choose this. I love point guards. Point guard is my favorite position in the NBA. If you ask me, I just love a point guard. But I just can't stand him, and those are the reasons. So that's why. Somebody asked in the comments, and I think Mr. Hargrove mentioned and said he didn't know why. So I just wanted to throw that out there. And before I move on to the next subject, before I'll get to you, Ron, I want to read some of these comments because the comments have blown up. I'm not going to go all the way back, but I'm going to go back to this one. To UFC Lopez said, I had KC winning that game is because they have the most talented players on the field. AB said, absolutely not. I put in the comments that Time with Sean said that Joe Burrow is better than Josh Allen. I put that in there because I just wanted to see what people would say about that.
I agree.
AB said Josh Allen haven't been lighting it up. And Blaze said, what if we do beat the Chiefs? Hey, if you beat the Chiefs, then you beat the Chiefs. The torch is passing or something. I don't know. AB said Josh Allen is that guy. King Czar put you're going to Disneyland. That's Czar's answer.
Exactly.
AB said the AFC current crop of quarterbacks are awesome. Mahomes, Jackson, Herbert, Burrow, Allen. And UFC Lopez said, I love what the future holds for the Bengals. And Blaze said, Allen and Herbert can be better than Burrow. That's fine. I'll take the playoff wins. And King Czar said, Burrow is better. AB said, remember when Jamar Chase couldn't catch? Yes. At the beginning of the season, people talking about he couldn't hold on to the ball. He figured that out. Ali Yero Tanzamore said, facts, Bengals have a better quarterback. Ace MVP, shout out to Ace, said, that's all you had to do was admit it. Case closed. Love to you. I never denied it, Will. That's the problem. That's why I didn't know why you were making such a big deal about it. I never denied that I said that. Not once. Go play the tape. Right. Ali Yero Tanzamore said, why OBJ? And I already answered his question. UFC Lopez said Aaron Rodgers better not try to go to the AFC. What y'all think about that statement? He better not go to the AFC because he's going to get his butt kicked, I think, if he goes
wherever
AFC
he wants, wherever he feels the best place for him.
He can go.
If he do go, I would go to Denver. That's the best spot for me, in my opinion.
No, I think what he's saying is he better not go.
No,
to the
I know
AFC
what he's saying.
Because the quarterback.
So let me just tell you, he's a Bears fan and he hates Aaron Rodgers because Aaron Rodgers owns them.
Oh,
so
okay.
But I'm just saying that's my boy. So
yeah, I know.
I teased him about it. He was so happy that they lost this weekend.
Oh, I was too.
But just saying unbiasedly, I think that if he went to the AFC, if he went to Denver, that would be a monster team. That'd be a hard team.
It would. UFC also said Chris Paul is selfish. Get him, Sharon. And A said 8 receptions, 205 yards, and 4 touchdowns, and not one mention of a certified player for Gabe Davis. Gabe Davis. Oh, you mean
Oh, wait, Gabe Davis. Wait, hold on.
Gabe Davis, and he said, he said, what the F type of certified segment is this? Okay, so it's an oversight, but you know how these Bills fans, you know how they are. If you don't mention something great about them, they go crazy. So yes, he was outstanding. I'm telling you, all season I hadn't even paid attention to his name. So sorry, I just didn't write his name down. But he did have a fantastic game, and he was a big reason why they stayed in the game. I hope that's good enough. I'm not sure anybody else got anything to say about him.
I named Josh Allen as one of my certified.
No, not Josh Allen. I'm talking about Gabe Davis. But anyway, Blaze said winning chips changes your perspective on people getting more shine than you. That's true sometimes, but not when you are egomaniac and narcissist like Chris Paul is. Nothing will change. That's how I feel. Blaze says center is my favorite position. And they said Burrow over Jones, LMFAO. Okay. And Braxton said, who's going to win the Super Bowl this year? That's his question for us. UFC said, I don't hate Aaron Rodgers. I just think Aaron is not a team player. That's what your boy said, Czar. And then A said, AFC is too stacked. NFC will be weak for the next 3 to 5 years. Okay, Ron, what you got to say?
Never mind that. It was a
Yeah.
joke. Never mind. I was gonna say it. I was gonna say Chris Paul, the Aaron Rodgers of the NBA.
No, because at least Aaron Rodgers did get one chip.
So
There you have it. All right, so we moving on. We're gonna talk about.
Well, let me just say one thing real quick.
I'm
Just
sorry.
get-
Guru, sit forward so I can see you. Because when you sit back, you disappear. So I can't even see if you raise your hand or anything. I can't see you. Okay.
Gabe Davis, that's the wide receiver on Buffalo.
yeah.
Yeah.
Okay,
He
caught
had over 200 receiving yards in that playoff game.
Okay,
He did.
Yeah, he had a great game. But let me just say this: number one, when your team loses, and maybe you have a great performance, you're going to get left in the shuffle a little bit.
Right.
He had a great game.
Mhm.
A lot of people had a lot of great games. But you know what? Only, you can't. What you going to name everybody on the damn Buffalo Bills who lost? Y'all lost the game. All right? Get over it. All right? I'm tired of you guys with this, Allen and all this other. Y'all lost the freaking game. I'm not gonna say you got your ass kicked, but I feel like saying you got your ass kicked because you're so stupid with that little bit amount of time left. You didn't squib kick your coach, who got fired before, who showed that why he got fired because he's an idiot. Because everybody and their grandmother says you should have squib kicked. So take it, own it, and move on. Okay. Hopefully you're not like Dan Marino and you actually get back to the finals or whatever, or actually get there. Period. Because this was only a second round playoff game, man. It wasn't even the finals of sort.
Y'all took a step back. Actually, they went to the championship game last year.
Yeah, right. That was something that a lot of people didn't realize. Y'all didn't get better. Y'all got worse. Was it a heroic game? Was it great for the fans? Did a lot of people like it? Yeah, it was wonderful, man. I'm glad Kansas City won because I was rooting for them. I didn't bet on the game because I really didn't know. I wasn't sure, but I try to bet when I have a hunch. But get over it. And
hey, Guru.
Yeah.
I don't think they were worse. I think you could say they're about the same because they lost to the same damn team.
Yeah, but around earlier though.
Somebody in the comments is saying why we didn't give him prime time because there's other people, and we're not giving it to a losing guy. Like unless you was like who was it, Jerry West in the finals who they lost and he still won the MVP. I think that's about the only person that ever happened to. It doesn't happen that often. Okay, and you got to have like such an overwhelming performance. And another thing about that game, everybody keeps saying about the defense and the last. No, they wasn't scoring Mahomes or Allen until that last 25 minutes. So what happened before that? They was getting stops. It seemed like in that last sequence, nobody could get a stop. Now I don't know why I saw one guy fall down. Somebody questioned the type of defense. But throughout the whole game, it wasn't like the score was 40-something to 52. It wasn't like that. And let me just, the last thing I gotta say is about Burrow. He got sacked 9 times. All right.
The old lineman, like I've been saying, they winning, but they need that line.
And they really got lucky because what Tannehill did was ridiculously stupid with 40 seconds, and the coach was ridiculously stupid. So a lot of people felt that, the coach should definitely, get considerations for coach of the year. And obviously the playoff doesn't matter, but they spit the bit. So So I'm not Burrow. I mean, he had 300 yards, but like I said, and I know me and Zar had this argument, and I'll have it again. Y'all just don't mean shit.
No, it's a tough one for me because obviously Chase was the right pick. I was always saying they should have took Sewell, and Sewell's going to be great as well, but it's kind of like a double-edged sword. You see where the line is at, even though they won, but you see this offseason, I guarantee you that's what they're going to focus on, and Sewell still would have been a great addition, and they still had two great receivers over there. So I still think they would have been successful this year. But either way, it looks like either pick was the right pick, but we see at least we went crazy for thinking that they needed Sewell. It does show.
You heard me.
They needed him, but the Jamar Chase pick was a good pick, though.
Right.
Yeah.
But you only get
Joe Burrow was a
pick
quarterback in
one.
college. Right?
And now, if it wasn't Joe Burrow who was Jamar's quarterback, I could think differently. But that's his boy.
Yeah.
They brought him. They brought him his boy.
Yeah, he comparing Gabriel Davis to Michael. Hold on, I gotta say this. We're comparing Gabriel Davis to Michael Jordan now in the comments.
Yeah, well, that's why I just said just forget it. That's why I put in there. No, Guru's not a Jordan fan, so let's just.
But even Guru is Guru.
Nah,
still,
come on, man. I'm not a Jordan fan either, but come on, man.
Yeah,
we can move on. Yeah, you do, and that's why I said that. But we can keep it moving on that. I want to move to the next topic that we have on deck because it's a long one. It's kind of long and it's pretty good though, and I'm really anxious to hear what the fellas think about this subject. And what we're going to be visiting is the NFL. We're still with the NFL and the coaching debacle that's going on right now. We've got some teams that are looking for new head coaches for the season. These teams are the Chicago Bears, the Denver Broncos, the Houston Texans, Jacksonville Jaguars, Minnesota Vikings, Miami Dolphins, New York Giants, Las Vegas Raiders. Notice the Pittsburgh Steelers coach is still there. But anyway, so these teams are looking for new coaches. New Orleans will be too, because from what we understand, Sean Payton is saying that he's retiring. But we're not going to talk about him. I don't have him on the list, so we'll visit him that team another day. But we're going to go around and I'm going to take each team. And we don't have a whole lot of time to spend on it, guys. So I don't want to take too much commentary, but I'm not going to limit you to 3 minutes. But if we can do it as fast as possible, that'd be great. So we're going to start with the Giants in this list. And this time I'm going to start with Sean. Sean, who do you think, what coach do you think the Giants will pick?
I think they'll pick
for their next head coach. Kellen Moore. Can you just say real quick why you think it's him?
Because they took Jason Garrett.
That's why they're not going to take him.
I don't know.
You crazy. You just
I don't know about that.
Kellen Moore's not even a finalist for the job.
No.
No, he's not. But
he's not going to get an offer from no one. But go ahead.
All right, go ahead, Ron.
I got Doug Peterson.
Why Doug?
Just
for what job?
Giants.
The Giants. We're still on the Giants.
He's not on the final. He's picking people that's not a finalist.
Wait a minute.
They already got the finalists now.
So let them talk. Let them go. Let them go.
Yeah, but
I got Doug Peterson.
But I'm right here in New York, and the finalists
they
is not.
Did their research.
There.
Damn, it's his opinion, bro. It's his opinion. Nope. Let him talk.
Okay. I thought that is this opinion based?
It is, but you did do their research. Right. But yeah.
My bad.
I got
you'll see my answer, but go ahead.
I got Doug Peterson to get back at Philadelphia. That's why I got Doug Peterson.
Oh, okay. So you think he would go to the Giants just to get back at the Eagles for firing him?
Yes.
Well, sometimes I don't know. Sometimes I don't think these guys are that petty though. Sometimes it's all about fit and what they want to do, what kind of legacy they could create on a team. But you just never know. But Guru, I need to ask you a question. Who is on the final list for the Giants? Because I'm gonna see if my list is right or not.
Well, Dabo's right now
that's who I got.
the front runner, and then Quinn is seemingly the second runner.
Right.
So that's what
I got Dabo, by the way.
I
Wait, Czar, wait.
I listen to all the shows here in New York, and that's what they're saying. Now, could something come out of the blue? So that's why I had to back off of Ron, and I apologize. If Sharon said that, or Miss Chocolate said that it's opinion based, but according to what all the reports we're getting right now, Dabo, because he's an offensive minded coach, and they want to fix Danny Dimes, and then Quinn because he did such an excellent job, and in terms of but I think that's a little overstated because Cowboys were like 29th in defense the year before, and they went to 19th, and the defense still was. It made big plays, but it wasn't an excellent defense, and it proved itself not to be. That's why they lost to San Francisco, who has no offense, and they still lost.
Okay.
So,
that makes sense. So on my list only had Quinn. My list didn't even have Dabo on it. But from what I understand, he's been interviewed, and also Quinn has been interviewed twice, right?
Twice.
Yes.
Quinn
Well, Dabo, according to Ace in the comments,
one was
Dabo's,
by Zoom. I believe one was by Zoom, and the other one was in person. He had the second one, which was in person, and Dabo either had the second one in person today or is having it tomorrow.
Yeah, Ace put in the comments that Dabo's been interviewed twice too.
Okay.
So it's between the two of them, and so Ron had Peterson. Guru, did you just have Quinn? Is that who you have?
At one time, now I don't know what happened, but Flores was also supposed to be in this grouping.
Right.
But as we've stated before, black coaches getting a job. There's only one black head coach in the whole NFL right now. So for all these, supposed opportunities, it's not going to happen because this is the NFL. And this is how they treat African Americans. And it's just the way it is. And until black people make a stand, it's always going to be this way. And I'm sorry, that's just the reality of it. We can sugarcoat it whatever we want to do. I mean, no differently than we mentioned the whole thing with the Hall of Fame. These are just facts, man. It's just the reality of the world we're living in. And if we want to put, I don't know, something over our eyes or something, then we can go ahead and do that. But we could always say that, the Tua situation and how he treated Tua. Man, Bill Parcells was cursing out. They got a tape with Bill Parcells cursing out, what's his name? Phil Simms. And they got to bleep it out. I don't know if anybody's ever heard that on NFL film.
I've heard it.
Bill Parcells is bleeping, and he said, Phil, just run the play, Phil. Got blah, 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 blah. So guess what? They curse. People curse at their own children. And now all of a sudden you can't curse at what's his name? Tua? It's ridiculous. But that's what we stand with that. As far as what I know, as far as New York is concerned, and I'm right here in the big.
I got Dabo.
So Czar, you got Dabo, right?
Yes.
And Adam, I guess Adam left. I was getting to him next.
Tua's his cousin.
Oh well, okay. Well, for me, for the Giants, I had Dan Quinn first, and I didn't know who the latest was in the running. But I did put Doug Peterson behind him, but not for the reasons that Ron did. But I did this based upon the latest information I had. I'm just saying, if they end up interviewing other people besides what I see on my list, I would consider Doug would be a good fit for the Giants, I feel. But I don't think he's going to end up there. I really think that I think they're going to try to give it to Quinn, actually. But then Quinn is looking like he might be in Denver. So let's move on to Denver. Okay. So I want to share something with y'all first before I go through Denver. Denver. All right. So for head coaches, this is what I do know who they've interviewed already. The Lions defensive coordinator, Aaron Glenn, the Packers quarterbacks coach, Luke Getsy, the Packers offensive coordinator, I'm just going to say OC. It's just too many words, too many syllables. The Packers OC, Nathaniel Hackett, the Cowboys OC, Kellen Moore, the Cowboys DC, Dan Quinn, the Patriots linebackers coach, Jared Mayo, the Eagles defense DC Jonathan Gannon, and the Bengals OC Brian Callahan. They've requested the Chiefs OC Eric Bieniemy and the Rams OC Kevin O'Connell. So we see, some high-powered people on this list.
Well,
And I'm going to go to you first, Ron. Who do you think Denver's going to get?
well, I've been saying it all year. I think Dan Quinn, but he got to get an OC. He got to get an OC because he's not good as an offensive coordinator calling the plays. We've seen that in Atlanta. So if they hire Dan Quinn, he got to hire an OC with him. So
Well, of course he's
Well,
going
he won't
to
be
have
hiring
to.
because
He's going to have to. He's going to need one. But what you're saying is he really needs a really good one, is
Right.
what you're saying.
right.
Because that's not his strength. I got you. What you got, Zara?
for Denver, I actually had Quinn for the longest, but
Yeah.
I just thought, and I'll tell you why. I got Nathaniel Hackett, the OC for the Packers,
Ooh.
Mm-hmm.
and it's going to lead them to getting Aaron Rodgers. That's why they're going to pick him over Quinn, in my opinion, because it's the fast track to landing Aaron Rodgers.
That can happen. What you got, Sean?
I think they're gonna get the enemy.
Really?
Oh, that's
Okay.
the defensive coordinator from the Bills, right?
Huh?
I said that's the coordinator from the Bills, right? The defensive
Chiefs.
coordinator. Right?
Yeah.
Chief.
From-
Chief.
The enemy is
I said
the
Bills.
OC from the
Yeah.
Chiefs. Yeah.
Yeah, from the Chiefs. Yeah, I think they're gonna get the enemy. It's like I think a monkey could coach that defense. I'm not even gonna lie to you. Over there in Denver, they have a really,
Yeah, they're
really
not going
nice
to hire
young,
defense. Yeah.
really nice young, tough defense. I think a monkey could coach. The defense is not their issue, so I think they may stay away from the defensive side of it and try to get somebody who, played in the last 2 Super Bowls. That's why I think he may have the edge. He spoke some facts to Mahomes. He's taking touchdowns and stuff. You know what I mean? Why not see if he can put quarterback at the right level with those receivers? Because let's not be frank here. Denver has some pretty good receivers as well. So all they need is some good quarterback play, and it's a different ball game over there in Denver. So I'm gonna go with the enemy.
Okay. That'd be good, I guess. What you got, Guru? Who's getting the Denver job?
Well, I don't know who's getting it, but I know right now that the 3 head leading candidates is the Packers, OC Hackett, Rams, O'Connell, and then Quinn. So Quinn is, I guess, up for 2 jobs with the 19th ranked defense and in the league. So it's kind of sad, because I don't, Sean said Bieniemy, but like Bieniemy is an afterthought. It's a shame here. This guy, they just keep on doing good things, but they're but he's an afterthought, and that's just wrong. That's just outright, perjury almost. It's a shame. But right now, those are the 3 leading candidates. Why? Who knows? What did Hackett do in the playoff game? Because that's what you're hearing about the Buffalo defensive coordinator. Oh, well, he didn't have a good game. Well, Hackett had a worse game with the best quarterback ever, because everybody keeps saying that anybody could coach that team. Well, anybody could coach them, and they lost to a San Francisco
And everybody
team.
blaming McCarthy, and now look at this guy choking every year as well. So what, you know what I mean? So go ahead, Guru.
Yeah, no problems are. So it's really sad. It's sad because I don't like Stephen A. Smith. Most people listen to the show know usually I knock him once a show, but today I'm not gonna knock him because when I heard his show today, he said that he didn't believe that these African Americans were going to get the job, and you know what? Even though he comes off like Debbie Dowder, he's right. And I hate to say that he is right because you want to see progress as an African American. That's what I am. I want to see progress. I don't have anything against any race. I'm for everybody, but I'm also for inclusion. That's what I'm for the most. Whether it be women, young girls, because I have a girl. So or just in general. I want to see more people be able to achieve greatness in this country, not less.
Got you. So for me, I just have Quinn for Denver. I didn't write anybody else's name down. I feel like Quinn is a good fit. And
So you had Quinn only for both teams, right?
no.
Oh.
For the Giants, I had Quinn and Peterson. Remember, I said Peterson. Even though he hasn't been, he may not have been interviewed, but I just feel like when people were mentioning his name and I looked at the list, I said that would be a good fit. Now, if he's not being considered, he's not being considered. But Quinn, I got him going to Denver.
Okay.
All right, so we're gonna move on. Who we want to do next? Miami? Want to do Miami? Let's do
Miami.
Mama. Let's do Mama.
So we can go to Adam's cousin. When we go to kick it off.
Right. Well, I want to read this. I want to read this really quick list. Miami Dolphins head coach search here. They interviewed the 49ers OC Mike McDaniel, and then they requested a slew of folks. But they only, as of this date, my list says they only interviewed the OC Mike McDaniel from the 49ers. The Cardinals DC Vance Joseph, the Cowboys OC and DC Kellen Moore and Dan Quinn, the Bills OC Brian Dabble, the Bills DC Leslie Frazier, first time we've heard his name, and then they also requested the Rams assistant head coach Thomas Brown, which I don't know enough about.
Right.
So who you guys are?
So I got Mike McDaniel because it looks like that's where they're leaning. That's who they're mostly interested in. And just a side note about Dallas, it's my team, obviously. You got to remember who the Dallas Cowboys are. They're the Yankees of the NFL, or the Yankees are the Cowboys of baseball. Whenever there's a good season, even though the playoffs, we know what happened. But whenever we're in the spotlight and we have a good year, we always get interviewed. I mean, it's the Dallas Cowboys. It's like they say the two most important positions are this microscope is a Yankee shortstop and a Cowboys quarterback. Those are the two positions in sports that like everyone looks at. So, but that's what that's about. But like I said, I don't think Kellen Moore is going to get an offer. And Quinn, I actually kind of think he might not get an offer. But anyway, back to what the team, I do got McDaniel for the 49ers. I do think that Miami, if they roll with Tua, feel that he'll be a good fit for Tua in the kind of system that he runs and, things of that nature if they do decide to stick with Tua and go that route. So that's what I'm leaning towards.
All right, Guru, who you got for Miami?
I got a dark horse, but I'm not sure it's going to happen because it seems like it's just, once again, you look at you do your research, you get a little, it's always the same suspects. But I'm going to go to the Harbaugh guy in college that I know that the owner said that he would never take anybody from Michigan. And that was his whole thing in terms of, just saying that, it's obvious that he's given millions and millions of dollars to Michigan. No question about that. However, that to me, it got to be the dark horse that I think that he may emerge as somebody, even though, ownership denies it to their blue in the face. Let's just wait and see, because I don't see anyone out of all the names that I've seen that really jumps out at me. Dabo, he's up for every job. They put Leslie Frazier in there just so they can have a black person to fulfill the Rooney rule. But that's where that ends. And then, like I said, Quinn. I mean, how many jobs is Quinn up for? I mean, Quinn did a lousy job in Atlanta.
Yeah.
And like I said, 19th ranked, defense in Dallas.
So yeah, I wouldn't have him at Miami. That's for sure. No, he don't need to go there.
Nah.
Brian, who you got? Miami.
I agree with John with the whole Dallas thing. And I got Kellen Moore.
That's so.
That would be interesting.
I think he need a young quarterback, what they already got. in Miami, and I think he to build that team for what he did with Dallas in the last 2 years, so
Yep.
I think that would be a good fit right there.
Okay. Don, who's getting that Miami job?
Give me 2 minutes.
Who?
Who?
Who did he say?
You say O.J. Simpson?
Stop.
That's what it sounds like. Simpson, like something like that.
Said something.
I think
don't know.
I think Rashawn eating a hot pocket right now. So
Hot pocket.
yeah.
Well, look. Well, I'll tell you who I got. So I went with Kevin O'Connell too,
Okay.
because he's an offensive coordinator, and I believe Miami's defensive coordinator is pretty strong. And to balance out, I don't mind them having an offensive-minded head coach. So I'm picking Kevin O'Connell.
Not bad.
Oh, my bad. I was talking to my boss. I was trying to tell y'all to come back to me.
Oh, that's all right. But go right ahead. Who you got for Miami?
Oh, I'm gonna keep being an asshole. Tell him more.
Oh, you agree
I
with
don't give a
Ryan?
shit. I don't give a shit. Who pick him up?
You're gonna pick Kellen Moore for every team.
Every damn. Somebody
I ain't coming to you if you're gonna do that.
Hey, Kellen Moore gonna be the first. Hey, Kellen
No,
Moore
no,
gonna be
no.
the first district head coach of the NFL. He's gonna coach like 4
Hey,
teams.
man, I ain't mad at him. As long as one of them ain't Dallas. But Kellen Moore is my chosen pick. But I think I really don't know which way my hand is gonna go. I think it was stupid of them to fire Brian Flores. I think they should have kept him for one more season. Give him that free season. Let him see what he's gonna do that third season, because y'all gave him trash the first season. Y'all gave him Adam Cousin as Tim Darrell like the straight the second season. We needed fucking tragic. Ryan takes tragic to help him out of games, and that's crazy. But yeah, I just think Flores deserves another chance. So I don't know what direction Miami is going to go. The one that makes sense will probably be a defensive coordinator, because they need a little bit more help on that side of the ball, and the draft a quarterback at this point. So yeah, hopefully they get somebody who's good with players and picks, and they can get better in the AFC, which is going to be tough for the next 5 years.
Okay. Good
Let
assessment.
me- Can I add
Go ahead,
something?
go. Yeah, sure. Go ahead.
Now, everybody keeps saying Kellen Moore, and
Everybody.
I get it. But when I keep hearing his name, the one thing that comes to mind is like, this guy's young, and like I said, the offense, for the most part, when you look at things and you dissect it, it appears that the Cowboys only play really well against the offense, against the bad teams. Their record was under 500 against the good teams. So, how did Kellen Moore, emerge as this great, guru, so to speak, to steal my own name? So, I realized, and I didn't know how old he was. I knew he was young because, he wasn't, I believe he played. So I think he's like 33 years old, something like that. So, but what came to mind is like, who's the youngest head coach ever? And I just figured, this panel is pretty sharp. Anybody have an idea who the youngest NFL coach was or is?
Wait, who's the youngest now, or who was the youngest when they were hired?
When they was hired. When they was hired.
Shoot, that's a good one. I would say.
Was it McVay?
The Rams head coach.
Right.
McVay.
And how old?
I think
Yeah,
McVay.
that's right. That's right. How old was he?
I think he's like 35 or something like that.
No,
he's still relatively young. He might have been younger than that.
He was 30.
No, he wasn't that young.
30, yeah.
Yeah, he was 30 years old.
Oh, was he that? He was 30?
Yeah.
Yeah,
he's young as
hell.
hell.
30 years old.
Wow. I didn't know that.
He wasn't the youngest to win, though.
But I just thought that was kind of interesting, because everybody keeps saying that, this kid Moore, who's 33, I'm like, wow. I mean, he seemed like, I think he could be a good, like teaching quarterbacks, but I don't know if he could lead men at this point. I don't know. I mean, do you, let's just go around the panel. Do we think that he would do a good job of leading men at that age? Or am I, barking up the wrong tree, as some people in the I guess the panel, not the panel, but the comments would like to, indicate sometimes.
No, I don't think he's ready yet. I think he needs to stay where he's at right now. Because actually, to be honest, I know my team. I already know that this Sean Payton thing might change things up for us. But before that happened, Kellen Moore is, Rashawn said it, it's Jason Garrett over again. If he were to get an offer again before this Sean Payton thing happened, Jerry is going to make him the highest offensive coordinator that he did, like Jason Garrett, to stay and be in wings to replace McCarthy as our next head coach. I really believe that. But
Czar, you realize
thing might have changed that.
Right, because Czar, you do realize that if you can get Sean Payton, that goes into what Jerry Jones was saying this week and last week in terms of replacing him with someone who is better than him.
Right.
That's now once again, we can look at Sean's record, 15 years, one championship,
Right.
only been to one Super Bowl, right? So what makes him,
well, they got cheated. They got cheated out of another one, but yeah.
Yeah, well, we could always say what could have happened and what should have happened, and you're right. Some people feel like that, but the bottom line is they didn't make it, man.
They got cheated so bad they changed the rule, and we had replay on pass interference calls for a couple of years.
Right, and then they changed it back, right?
Right, which I agree, because it just interrupts the game too much. I agree.
Coach challenged it at one point. I remember that.
Yeah.
I think if Sean Payton go to Dallas because he got experience. Mm-hmm. How to win Super Bowl, how to build a team, how to all that stuff.
He's from there.
Right, he's from Dallas. And I think he really will put his spin on the team. The same way he did it in New Orleans. So either way you go, it'd be good fit in Dallas.
Yeah.
I just think that right there is a crack of shit. Not like what you said, but the whole reasoning for the coaches. Mike McCarthy is the same thing as Sean Payton. I mean, let's be real. One Super Bowl. The same fucking thing.
All right.
I don't think Sean Payton is as I don't want to say yes man, kind of what people were talking about earlier, or laid back. I think Sean Payton is a little bit better X and O's, a little bit more assertive, and a little bit more of a leader and a little more of his own man than Mike McCarthy is, though. Even though I don't shit on McCarthy like everybody else, but I think Sean Payton.
I think both of these coaches have had legendary quarterbacks and only finished one season.
Dude, we talking about the New Orleans Saints. When have they been relevant? Until they got Peyton and Drew Brees, and now they're gonna go back to the dumpster again. Watch.
But I gotta say this.
Wait a minute, Ron. We got 3 more teams to go. We got 4 more teams, actually. We got 4 more teams to go. We don't have a lot of time. So let's move on to the next team. I think I said, didn't I say mine? Yeah, I said mine. So let's go to the Jags.
That's easy.
The Jaguars.
Yeah. Easy.
I know you don't like it, Sharon. I know you don't like it, Sharon.
Well, I got some, everybody got their opinion. I just got a really strong feeling when it comes to this team.
Yeah.
And they've interviewed some of the same suspects. They interviewed former Eagles head coach Doug Peterson. They interviewed Jim Caldwell, Bill O'Brien, who should never get a head coaching gig again, in my opinion. Byron Leftwich, Kellen Moore, Ty Bowles, Nathaniel Hackett. They also interviewed the Colts defensive coordinator, Matt Eberflus, which I hadn't heard.
Eberflus,
who you got, Guru? Who you got going to the Jags?
Now, I haven't done much research on this one, and I'll just be honest, but I got to give it to Leftwich. I think that he deserves the job, and although and I think he's one of the few African Americans that may actually get a job. I would say him. If he doesn't get that job, then we may get shut out again.
Yeah, I don't want him to go there. But Sean, who you got going to Jags?
Side note, NFL stands for Negroes Finish Line. And I want to go with Brian Leftwich too because that's the one that makes sense. He's been there. He's been a quarterback there. He knows how the organization runs. He just pretty much knows Jacksonville. But that's what makes sense to me. I would either go Brian Leftwich, and I'm not going to say your answer because I think what you said to me earlier was very clever. So I'll let you get it.
All right. Who you got, Ron?
Brian Leftwich. And
Brian?
the reason I got him, because he knows how to win now. He spent time with, some people call Tom Brady the GOAT, but that's another story. He spent time with Tom Brady, so he knows what to do and what not to do. He knows how to teach a quarterback and listen to a quarterback. So,
All right, Czar.
And it's a clean sweep. Well, I don't know if it was clean. I think everybody had Leftwich, but yeah, that's one of the, I think that's one of the, out of all these teams, if I look at the list, I think that's probably the clearest one, in my opinion. And with Dabo to the Giants is a second clear one for me, but Leftwich definite to the Jags.
Well, all I'm going to say is he probably will end up there. I don't want him to go there because I don't feel like it's a well-run organization. And for his first opportunity, as much respect that I have for Leftwich, I really respect him as a player and a coach. I did, as a player. I don't want his first time out to be squandered on the Jags. I just don't. I want him to be set up to win. And I'm just not a believer. If they prove me wrong, great. I don't have any problem with being proven wrong. So if anybody want to splice this video later when they're winning something
TikTok
and say, Sharon said, yeah, TikTok. When you said, okay, but hell, do any of us know what's going to happen? No, it's just a guess. But I don't want him there.
You ready,
What I'm
Sharon?
trying not to say is Black coaches get few opportunities. And once you get one, you get 2 years and you're out. And they need too much repair. I don't want him to go there, but it looks like he'll probably end up going there.
See, for me, you already know, since we've known each other, I'm a huge fan of Sunshine. Shout out to Remember the Titans yet again. But I think that's the perfect quarterback for him to go to, and I think they're going to do wonders there.
Yes, but if they didn't need so many other things, I'd be all for it. But they need they just need too much crap, too much help.
These teams that
and
are available
I'm just so nervous that what's going to happen. You're going to have this great mind, get this team, and then he's going to be drugged through the mud when they're not successful. And then everybody's going to say, oh, well, he was given a chance too soon. Oh, you know how they do. They make up narratives for us. And I'm sick of that. I really want him to go. I want an experienced coach to go to the Jags to handle that crap there, to handle that. And I want him to go somewhere else that's missing a few pieces maybe, but not the whole freaking team almost, but the quarterback.
Check it out real quick.
Yeah, I know they got some other players, good players there, but I just don't want to see that.
Real quick, Ron. Well, real quick. So they'll get ETN back, their running back, the number 1 pick next year.
Mm-hmm.
They'll get the number 1 receiver back.
Bar an injury.
No, I know, of course, but they get the number 1 receiver back, DJ Chark.
I got you.
And then the real Josh Allen on defense, they add players to build on the real Josh Allen.
Right.
I think they're not as bad as you think.
But that's what I said. I said they do have some good players. That's you named 3.
Yeah.
Right.
And a quarterback.
Right.
So what I'm saying is 75 people on the roster or whatever. I'm just saying they have a lot of issues to get right.
But I will say this: he has spent a lot of times with Bruce Arians.
I know it, but it's a culture.
Right.
Bruce Arians is not going to be there in the locker room or on the practice field with the Jaguars when he's trying to lead this team.
Right.
It's going to be him on his own. I'm not questioning Leftwich or his pedigree or what he's learned from Arians and anybody else. I'm sure he's got it down, but that's not my issue. It's the culture is that team. But anyway, let's move on. Let's move on to the next one. We got Minnesota, Texans, Chicago, and Raiders. Okay. So let's go quickly to Minnesota. I'm gonna do mine first. This is the one that I had the offensive coordinator from Green Bay, Nathaniel Hackett. And I guess this is more of me hoping that that's what will happen because they're in the same division. And I believe that Minnesota needs help needs an offensive-minded head coach for that team. I don't know if they're going to keep old boy, one of my favorite quarterbacks who gets a lot of hate. But
you like that?
Know. Yeah, you like that? Kirk Cousins, the non-captain quarterback. I like him though. I just do something about him I like. And I just think that he would be a good fit, and it would just be comical to me for him to go there. So that being said, who you got, Ron, for Minnesota?
Brian Flores.
For Minnesota? Okay.
For Minnesota. That's who I got. I really think what he done to the Miami Dolphins, I think he the dude with Minnesota.
All right. Who you got, Guru? Minnesota.
Well, from what I could read, I don't know that Brian Flores is even, a candidate, but he would be a great choice, no doubt. But out of the people that they have interviewed, I'm going to root for Todd Bowles to get the job. That's where I'm going to go. I mean, I don't know that he's going to get it, and I've already made my feelings felt, in terms of what I think about the whole process. But I'm gonna hold for Todd.
All right, cool. I like Todd Bowles a lot. Time with Sean. Who you got going to Minnesota?
No, this ain't really a joke though. I really think Kellen Moore could possibly get that job.
But you know what?
No, real talk.
I hope he doesn't because he ain't ready.
Not Dutton. Would you say, Sharon? Did you just make up a word from the South? Dutton. You hope he doesn't.
That's the kind of team that he's coaching right now, though. You know what I mean? That's why I say it may not be too far fetched. You have a good team with a good running back, good receivers, okay O-line, and the defense. I feel like is like sometimes a piece away, sometimes an eon away. But that's the kind of team he's used to coaching. So that's a perfect fit for him.
All right. Czar.
So I think Guru will like this one, and this is one of the ones where we kind of were pretty much different or somewhat different. And I'm going with, now this is funny when I say why, because there's a chance Aaron Rodgers may leave, although they had the odds of the teams that he'll go to. Denver was 1, staying in Green Bay was 2 for like the strongest possibilities. So he could stay, but let's just say, he is a Packer now. That division, he owns that division. What's the team that owns Aaron Rodgers? The 49ers. I like DeMeco Ryan, their defensive coordinator, to go to Minnesota, especially if Aaron Rodgers stays. I mean, obviously they'll have to make that decision before that, but I think that's the perfect
I like that. I like that too. I like that too. I put down who I said already for Minnesota. Isn't that everybody? Yeah, we got everybody.
Yep.
All right, so we're gonna move on to the Texans. Who you got? Who you guys are for the Texans?
So Blaze, that could be a possibility. He put DeMeco to the Texans because obviously that's where he played, and we know the history. And I was gonna do that, but like I said, I kind of got creative with this Aaron Rodgers, Minnesota in that division, and one team that kind of got. So I'm gonna go different. I think so. I was going back. So on this one, I'm gonna pull a Guru or just a Sharon. I kind of had 2 coaches. This is the first time I'm gonna name 2, and I'm torn. Flores, he's obviously one at Watson. We don't know what's up with Watson, but I think Flores is a possibility. But my what do you call it? My dark horse is one of Sharon's own, the great Hines Ward.
I love that man. Woo. Love that man.
We're starting to name a
All
few
right.
brothers up in here, though. Let's put some brothers up on the wall. I think you ain't got no
Well,
brothers
I
up on the
mean,
wall.
yeah, I mean, I'm seeing them on the list here, and I'm like, great. They interviewed 2 Black
Right.
people. Wow.
See,
At Houston. Okay. Well, Tom Rashawn, who you got for the Texans?
Relocation.
Stupid.
I can get with that.
They need more than a coach, man. They need to change the whole the whole damn team and go to Seattle. Because Seattle need a basketball team. Oh no, they got a football team. Go somewhere. Go just somewhere else. The team is just horrible. Get the hell out of Texas.
Go to St. Louis. They need St.
Yeah,
Louis
yes.
needs a football team back.
Yes, get the hell out of Texas. Because y'all ass.
So you ain't got nobody. They interviewed Brian Flores, Hines Ward, Joe Lombardi, that's the OC for the Chargers, Jonathan Gannon, the DC for the Eagles, Josh McCown, former quarterback, yes, Josh McCown, and the
What about
OC
Kellen
Kevin
Moore?
McDonald from the Rams. That's who they interviewed.
wow.
They interviewed Kellen Moore.
No.
No.
Shit. All right, I'm gonna go with the DC. I'm gonna go with the DC for the Eagles, man.
Oh,
I'm
Jonathan
gonna go with
Gannon.
the DC.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. All
See,
right,
I
well,
torn right here.
I went. Go ahead.
I got
Go ahead.
two head coaches, but
Mhm.
I got Lovie Smith. Shout out to Guru. And I got Joe Brady. Shout
You
out
kind of
to
look like
Ace.
Lovie Smith.
Huh?
Joe
You
Brady.
kind of look like Lovie Smith.
Joe Brady,
why?
huh?
Yeah.
Joe Brady.
Why I say Lovie Smith? Because he already there. And they've been playing hard for him already.
Yeah,
So,
but he's been given 2 chances already, so
right.
I'm not sure that three thing is
I
hard
think
for us to get.
the Bears let him go way too early.
Oh,
Right.
of course, I agree. I think
And
everybody
my-
saw that afterwards.
And
But I put the OC, the Chargers OC, Joe Lombardi. That's who I put.
Ooh,
I put him first.
ooh.
Why? Because they need help with their offense more than their defense, is what I think. They need somebody that can help, really get a scheme going. Some
Right.
type of creativity. They don't have it. So let's move on. Chicago. This is the one that I felt strongly about from the very beginning. As soon as I heard he was on the market, I said Brian Flores for this job. This is the job I want him to have because I want him with their quarterback. I want him to build that young man up. And I just want to see him there. Plus what he did, the defensive work that he did down in Miami, I think the Bears need that. They need a head coach that thinks that way and that can elevate those Bears, because the Bears, they have good defensive players, but the numbers don't show it.
Right.
That as well as they play. I'm not saying that they were trash. I'm just saying with who they have, with the talent they have, their numbers should be better. Their defensive numbers should be better. So that's what I got. Who you got for the Bears? I'm gonna go to Guru, then I'm gonna go to Tom with Sean.
The Bears. No, actually,
Well, you see the long list of people that they interviewed, right?
yeah. You know what? I'm gonna take a pass on that one.
Okay, you sure?
Yep.
All right.
Yep.
Well, I got Brian Flores for that.
I'm going.
I wouldn't mind if it was Jim Caldwell too, because they interviewed both Brian Flores and Jim Caldwell for this job, along with Byron Leftwich and Todd Bowles.
Mm.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
All right, so I'm going to time with Sean. Who you got?
All right, Dan Quinn. I go with Dan Quinn here. This is another one that has a really good defense. They have Khalil Mack, which I believe Dan Quinn can, breathe some life into because he's been absent. As well as Kellen Moore because I want him gone. But that's that. But yeah, Dan Quinn. I think Dan Quinn gets this up.
All right. Toss up. Who want to go next?
I know.
Go ahead, Ron.
I
ahead,
finna throw in a wild card name. Mike Zimmer.
Huh? You better not get another job right away.
And wait a minute.
Well, they didn't interview him, but I understand what you're doing.
And this why I say that. He been a good defensive coach. Like Sean just said, that defense need a new fresh air, need a new leader in Chicago. What better way to go after Minnesota ex-coach?
I get it, but I don't like him. So I don't want to get it. No. No. And Bill O'Brien should never get a job in the NFL again. I have him there with Chip Kelly. Never, never, never. Go ahead, King Czar. Who you got?
So I'm gonna go with the guy that you. This is a tough. The Bears. This is one of the harder ones, versus the easier ones. But I'm gonna go with a guy you only want to mention him. I don't think you mentioned him getting a job, but you mentioned him amongst the candidates. But I'm gonna go with Matt Eberflus, the defensive coordinator for the Colts. I'm hearing some rumblings there, but like I said, I think the Bears process might take a little longer than some of the other teams. But I have a gut feeling that he will get that job.
All righty. All right. Well, okay. So the last one we got on the list is the Raiders. The Raiders. This is easy. This is easy for me. So I'm going to just go get mine because it's easy for me to get it out of the way. I think the Raiders need to go with the interim, Mr. Rich Bisaccia, because the players are reacting and responding to him well. And he didn't do too bad, after the debacle that's known as Gruden left. So I think that they just stick with him. Just stick with him. But who do you think, Guru? Who you got for the Raiders?
I'm gonna go with Harbaugh. I think if he doesn't get the job in Miami, then he gets that job.
Could be. If he seriously leaves the Big Ten. Who you got, Sean?
Hot pocket.
Who we got? Where at?
The Raiders. The Raiders.
Oh yeah, I agree with you. I think they keep the special team coach as the head coach. I think that would make sense. He had those guys still rallying at the end of this. At the end of that John Gruden stuff, they still made the playoffs. Had a nice run. The Raiders actually won a lot of games and big time moments this year with him coaching. So I think they should keep him. I think he stays. I think he keeps the job.
Ace in the comments said that the Raiders, they need the warden of the Vegas jail to coach them. That's what Ace said.
My boy, my other warden from Oz, my boy. What's his name? Shoot, forgot his name.
I don't remember his name. But who you got, Czar, for the Raiders?
I'm kind of shocked. Maybe this is a small another wild card, but I know there's interest. I live out here. I actually think they're going to get the once known guru who's always in the spotlight for New England, Josh McDaniel.
Oh, really?
I have a funny feeling.
Well, they requested the linebackers coach from the Patriots, Jared Mayo.
Yeah, definitely. I heard. I think they're gonna the Derek Carr situation. I just think they're gonna put those two together and see if they can get the most. Because we see Carr, Jekyll and Hyde. We know he can throw down the field, but it's just something missing. And I think they might think that might be the perfect coach for him. So.
All right, Ron, who you got?
The same one you just said, Sharon. Rich. The special team coach.
Mm-hmm.
Yep. I
think he did a great. He didn't mess up the joint. He didn't stink up the joint. So, and they like him.
Right. He did better than John Gruden. He was not all in the videos dancing. And he was not on the news doing all this. No, he handled his business on the field, on football games.
All right. Well, we got through all of those. Does anybody want to take a guess if indeed Sean Payton has indeed retired for real, for real? Does anybody want to take a guess as a bonus question here? Who's going to get that job?
Ooh, I think the defensive coordinator, they're already there. You want to get it? I don't know his name right off hand right now, but I think it's the defensive coordinator.
Well, the defense played pretty well, so played pretty well. Well, Ron, we got less than 4 minutes.
All right.
So you want to just save your questions for next week? Because we got like 7 questions or 8 questions. So we'll just do those questions for next week. But this was good. This was good going around saying who we think is going to get these coaching position. That was pretty interesting conversation. So any final words about this, about a GM search, maybe? Anybody feel anything strongly about any of the GM positions that's available?
Not really.
I'm
Anybody?
speechless.
You speechless?
I am. Very.
All right. Well, I haven't heard anything very interesting about
I know
it.
the
So.
Sixers lost. I know that to New Orleans. Without Devontae
New Orleans
Graham.
beat the Sixers?
Without Devontae Graham, their point guard.
Ouch.
Was Embiid playing?
Yeah, he was.
Sure. I think he had like 40-something points.
Yeah.
Oh my, they lost?
Like
New Orleans?
Minnesota was talking about it before the show today. And B can't do everything. He needs help.
I get you. I get it. But I guess all the rest of the players, are they just sitting around, eating bonbons and stuff? They're not playing? What they doing?
They playing, but they
counting Ben Simmons' money.
Oh, well. That's a good one, Guru.
I
must admit, I've only watched them play maybe 3 games this season. So I'm not really sure what they're doing. But anyway, this has been a good show. Thank you for everybody in the comments that's participating. I didn't read a whole lot of them, but it was very active in there, and we appreciate you every week. Shout out to Dennis Holmes, who couldn't be here tonight. I think he's enjoying some NBA or doing whatever he's doing, hanging out, fellas, or something. So wherever he is, we hope he's safe and comes back. I don't know. I think somebody in the comments asked, who's going to win the Super Bowl? Who's going to be in the Super Bowl? Let's just say that. Can I just go around real quick? Does anybody if anybody want to give their guess as to who's going to end up in the Super Bowl? Guru, I'm going to start with you. Just the teams.
I'm just hoping it's KC, San Francisco.
All right. Let's go to Ron.
I hope it's the 49ers and Cincinnati Bengals.
Okay. Sean, who you want in the Super Bowl? Who you think is going to be there?
I hope it's an animal fight. The Cincinnati Bengals versus the Las Vegas Rams. I hope it's an animal fight.
All right. And Czar.
Kansas City over the Rams.
Okay. So, and Kansas City wins is what you're saying?
Yes.
Yeah. I don't have a guess. Sorry, y'all. I just don't even have a prediction right now. And my head's hurting. So thank y'all for coming out tonight. God bless you. And good night.
Peace out.